thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you outside of Millwall Football Club 48 hours after there was a booing incident that has now become...
disgusting incident.
As you know, Kick It Out is football's equality and inclusion organisation. They have hailed the players of Millwall and Derby for defying the hatred after fans booed taking to the knee. What do you have to say about that?
Derby's fans didn't boo because Wayne Rooney, as far as I know from what I saw, Derby's fans are not to blame in any of this. Wayne Rooney put out a very, very strong statement. Good on you, Wayne Rooney, if you get to see this. I respect what he did, standing up straight away. As for Kick It Out, they are toothless. They're another useless lot. Because what I can't understand is, when can we start discussing removing a club like this completely from the Football's League for 3 years as a consequence of the crowd? Don't you think that would make the club itself and those who run the club to weed out and root out those people? They're leaving it to society. They're leaving it to the police to pick off one here and pick off two there when they have a cancer running right through from the top to the bottom of the club.
The club has been recognised over the last few years for the great work they have done to root out.
Please,
Mike,
I have to stop you on this, and please don't feel disrespected.
You can say what you need to say.
I do have to stop you on this because now you're sounding like the BBC and you're sounding like Sky.
What's that? The Black Broadcasting Corporation?
No, you're sounding like.
I'm being devil's advocate, mate.
No, but there's a way to be devil's advocate without sounding like them. When I say them, I mean the sort of people that entertain the Nigel Farages and give them a platform and say, oh well, and then when he spewed his racist stuff, they turn to an expert to say, what do you think of what Mr. Farage just said?
All I'm doing is stating a fact.
The time for that is over. The time for BS is over. Kick It Out. If you watch this, it's time to start getting football clubs out of the league completely. Completely. You know, like how when a footballer fails a drug test or an athlete fails a drug test, they're banned from the sport for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. That's what we must do. We must lift these clubs. When they offend like this, we must take them completely out of the game for 5 years. You know what happens when you do that? It means to get readmitted. What do you have to do as an athlete to get readmitted after you tested positive for drugs? What do you have to do? You got to go through numerous tests over a period of time, clear your name, clear your system, and then you're allowed back in, right? Now, when we start removing clubs like these completely, and I'm not talking about what happens to them in a financial sort of situation where they go back down the leagues and then work their way up. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about completely getting them out for 5 years. You're not playing lower leagues. You're not playing nothing. Your club goes bankrupt. When that starts to happen, Mike, that's when other teams, not just in this country, but in places like Italy where it's rife, in places like Eastern Europe where it's rife, if their countries do not remove them from their league, let the international football associations remove them from sort of the Champions Leagues and the European competitions and the World Cups and things like these.
I hear you.
We need to raise the stakes. Kneeling, like I said, as much as I respect it, I have to say, when I said it was useless, I didn't mean that the efforts wasn't appreciated. It's useless in the context of the fight we're in.
I hear you, and very soon we will be getting the opportunity to talk about your race offenders register. But before we get that, what do you think Millwall should be doing to identify and punish those who brought shame to the game?
Millwall is not fit for purpose. I think the question you should ask me is, what should the authorities, the FA, do? Not to the fans, but to the whole establishment. Because that whole establishment has a cancer. So that's an irrelevant question, because that's a bit like what we keep doing time and time again. We keep getting corrupt police officers to investigate corrupt police officers. you're not going to get anywhere. Asking Millwall, the top of the food chain of Millwall, to deal with the bottom of the food chain, where they're all interlinked and they all see each other after the game and they all chant and sing the same songs on their buses, is useless. I'm not even going to grace that question with an answer.
I'm going to ask you my last question, where one of my followers, Clive, has asked.
Okay.
And then you can tell me more about the race offenders register. Clive has asked, why use the knee as a symbol when it's a sign of submission?
Who is it a sign of submission to?
I've no idea. All I'm doing is
Who's Clive?
a follower of Street Mike, and that is what his opinion is. And all I'm doing is addressing his opinion.
Ask him where.
Look into the camera and talk to Clive.
Clive, who defines taking a knee, number one, as a sign of submission? I don't see it as that, so I don't understand your question. However, how do I see the knee? Taking the knee started in America, and it started with the principle of not standing up to the national anthem. Meaning, I'm not going to stand up to this. I'm going to go in the opposite direction of what I'm supposed to do to the national anthem. So it's seen as a sign of defiance, in my opinion, not submission. That's how I see taking the knee. And that's when I see the players taking the knee, I see in two ways. I see as a respect to George Floyd and the fights that have come off his death, as well as a sign of defiance that we're fighting. That's how I see it, Clive. I hope you change your view and see it that way too.
Thank you for that. And what we can now move on to is talk about, on numerous occasions during this interview, and you know I like to be devil's advocate and tickle your toes.
You're all right, Mike. I like you, so you can get away with being the devil's advocate. And I like you.
And it's great and it's interesting for the viewers. But you've mentioned on many occasions race offenders register. Tell me more about what you're talking about.
Right, we have an initiative called
Who's we?
We, the Million People Movement. Myself, Sasha Johnson.
Who's Sasha Johnson?
Sasha Johnson was my, we both organised the Million People March over the summer, which you covered fully. At the time we had a different third member, but we now have a new third member. So there are three of us within the Million People Movement: myself, Sasha Johnson, and Andy Morris. The two of them couldn't be here today, so I'm here representing the team. Now, we have an initiative called the Race Offenders Register, which many of you have heard about. It's similar to the Sex Offenders Register, and it's something that can solve the situation we had here today. If we had if in our vision, if the Race Offenders Register was already in existence, those managers and the CEOs or the chairman or the board members of this club will be liable and responsible to find and deliver, if you like, those members of the crowd who booed on Saturday. When they deliver those, or failure to deliver them, will leave them liable to be put in the Race Offenders Register. Okay, that's a level of repercussion that we do not have at present. Now, what's happening this morning? We've seen footballers going into the stadium because they've got meetings. Now, that meeting is going to be, oh, you know, they didn't mean it, and everything's going to go back to normal. There's nothing stopping these animals from booing again the next time they're let into the grounds. Now, the Race Offenders Register, because we have a petition going, we are not seeing movement from the government. So what's happened on Saturday has led us to come up with a new initiative, which we're going to be announcing to the press fully this week. I've been speaking to a couple of journalists, so sometime this week we're going to go public properly with it. So you're first to know, Mike, about this initiative.
So Mike has been privileged.
You have a scoop. You have a scoop right now. Now the scoop is that for the month of January, we are asking all sports professionals, black, white, foreign, British, and other countries are welcome to join in this initiative as well. But we're asking all sports professionals to boycott every single sport for just the month of January.
Can I ask you a simple question?
Yes, please.
We are still in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Financially and economically, people are hurting.
Yes.
Businesses are collapsing.
Yeah.
Millions and billions of people, millions and billions of pounds are being loaned to keep companies afloat
Yeah.
and people going.
Yeah.
Do you honestly believe
Yeah.
that people will boycott for a month?
I believe if the footballers who are kneeling truly believe in their heart they can or wish to do more, then this is their opportunity to.
What is the basis of your belief? What evidence do you have to support it?
If they believe, if those who are taking the knee, like I said, every week they've been taking the knee for 3-4 months now since sports came back on, right? Every weekend they do that. What's changed? Nothing. So my plea and my urge to all professional sportsmen and women in football, in golf, Mo Farah in racing, Hamilton in motor racing, in Formula One, all of you, this is the time to all come together and speak as one. And I'm urging our white allies in sports, in rugby, whatever sports you're in, to do the same, to show solidarity. Because it is better that we pack a punch for 1 month, make a difference, and then go back to normal in February. So I'm urging those of you who hear this to back us.
What would you define as normal in February? Is normal in February?
No, normal I believe if we achieve this, if even 10% of sports people go with what we're suggesting and what we're asking, I think it will make such an impact to those fans like them over the weekends, to sponsors who don't have the sports to advertise on, to the football clubs who can't sell the shirts of their favorite players. It will affect the system where it will make a difference.
Can I ask you a question? Before coming up with that idea, did you carry out research to identify the possibility that people would support what you're saying, or is that just an idea you come up with last night?
No, Mike, we've had this idea. It was meant to be stopped December. It was actually supposed to be before Christmas, okay? We looked at the Christmas situation. We looked at the new lockdown. We looked at the stress coming up to Christmas, and we decided to leave it till sometime in the new year. Now, what's happened since then is Millwall, the animals in this stadium, have decided.
No, some people.
Some of those
who
animals.
You define as animals.
Yes, I'm only referring to those, Mike.
Make it clear.
It was clear from the beginning.
But
I'm not referring to all. Not all Millwall fans are like that. Of course, not all. You can't go on a train or a bus or a club or a school or a country and say everyone's the same. It's clear. I'm only referring to
some.
Those animals. And I'll say it with no remorse. They are animals. They're uncivilized. Racism is uncivilized. And it's about time we wake up and understand that people with racist tendencies are monkeys. They're uncivilized people. I just want to say one more thing before we close regarding the Stop January initiative. I want to really put an appeal to all sports people. You see, you asked a good question. How do we know it's going to work? Why did we do research and feel out the footballers, the sports people? No, we didn't.
I'm an academic thinker.
But let me tell you what we do know. We do know that when this goes public, we do know there will be conversations on the buses, on the team coaches on the way to matches. We know there will be conversations in changing rooms. We know there will be conversations on training grounds. Have you heard about that initiative? Do you know that they're trying to get us to stop? We know that the conversations will be had not just within the clubs and the sports people themselves, but also within government. And I know there probably will be entities that will be doing the calculations. What happens if they actually boycott? What's that going to cost us? What's that going to do to the game? Those conversations being had alone will be a victory the way we see it. So of course, we're not stupid enough or believe that just because we said that means that all the clubs are going to take to it. But it is about starting a conversation. It is about putting something else other than kneeling. It is about putting something else other than kneeling, which these guys obviously took for a joke, okay, out in the public domain. Let the sports people do something more than what we're doing. At the moment, Boris Johnson isn't paying attention to any of this. We're still basically in the same situation we was in the summer. We're going into 2021, nothing's changed. This initiative, we believe, will make a difference because it hurts the pocket of the industry. And it's about time that we bring in a tool similar to the Race Offenders Register to address the people who behave in such animalistic ways.
Thank you, Spencer, and it has been a great opportunity for Street Mike to interview you here outside of Millwall Football Club. And in closing, is there anything else you would like to add that you have not had the opportunity to say? Because you know me, I'm devil's advocate, man. And
you know we love your devil advocacy.
Yeah, man, we love it too.
We love your devil advocacy.
But we're all
right with that.
Is there anything you want to add?
I mean, all I want to say is we are not just asking for the boycott. What we're asking for, just to wrap it up, is we want the boycott to happen so that the Race Offenders Register is taken seriously by the government. So both are linked. So there won't be boycotting for no reason. We're boycotting to ask to put pressure on the government to take up the Race Offenders Register.
Where can relevant persons find the petition?
Right, find the petition on thepetitionsite.com, thepetitionsite.com. So I ask everybody to please go to thepetitionsite.com, look for the Race Offenders Register petition, and please stick your signatures on that. Sports people, put your names to that, whoever sees this. But more importantly, what we're asking for in terms with the boycott is if they avoid the boycott by talking, at least inviting stakeholders, inviting groups to a discussion about the Race Offenders Register, then we've taken a huge step to stopping what we saw here at the weekend. So please, guys, go to thepetitionsite.com, look for the Race Offenders Register. Failing that, also go to The Full 100, search out The Full 100, a YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and you can also see the petition on that, and you can see a lot of what we're doing as well towards this race, towards this issue.
But all I can say, Spencer, is thank you very much
You're
for
welcome,
giving
Mike.
me the opportunity to interview you outside of the club, and we've discussed numerous issues, many of those controversial, but that is what we, Street Mike, do best. We go into the streets of London to meet interesting people, to have an engaging conversation with them about any topic. And you also know there's always one thing that I ask people to do
Here we go.
at the end of a protest. And I even got someone very famous on Saturday in Birmingham, that's Piers Corbyn, to do it.
Okay, I saw your interview with him.
Yeah,
did he do one?
Big up, Street Mike. Street Mike is fantastic.
And he said, big up Street Mate.
Okay.
So if you step in the middle, so are you going to do me a big up Street Mate?
I'm going to do your special big up street. I
Go.
always do your special ones, right?
Go on.
All right. So, big up Street Mike, the only Street Mike we know. Take care.
Stay there. What I want to do, I want to take a photograph of the screen,
Okay.
looking, and then we've basically finished. Stay there. I want to get the, what you call it, football club in the background. Move over that way a bit. Stop.
Big up Street Mike.
Big up, Street Mike. Street Mike is fantastic.
Big up Street Mike! Big up Street Mike!
Make sure you follow Street Mike on Instagram, all social medias, Facebook, YouTube.
Big up Street Mike! Come on, guys, join in! Big up Street Mike! Big up Street Mike!
Give me thumbs up. give me a comment and follow.